I usually have my camera on autofocus and I hope I'm in focus. I'm Lauren and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be on some of my Ouija board experiences, so stick around for that. The first story I want to tell you is the very first experience that I ever had on a Ouija board. I was with my friend Celina for this, and I've asked Celina if I can use this story, so that's fine. Just for some context, Celina is half Japanese. A couple of years prior to this, Celina's grandmother had died, and her mom follows some of the traditional kind of, I don't know what you call them, like almost like death rites or death rituals around it, where you would light incense for a deceased family member and kind of like, you know, like have a picture of them and bring them rice every day. Most people that follow traditional Japanese Buddhism do this for when they have dead loved ones. But on this day, I think this was the summer before grade 11, Celina and I were bored. And I think at this point we hadn't really started to get into illicit substances. So we were very, very bored. Just for some context, Celina lives up on an orchard. The orchard has a couple of houses around it, but it's pretty isolated from the rest of town. As we were up there, we decided, hey, why not play a Ouija board? Celina has this big coffee table, like a Japanese style coffee table in her living room. We get a piece of paper and we tape it down to the coffee table. We get a pen and it was either a toonie or a loony as like a planchette. So we write out yes, we write out no, and we write out, you know, like goodbye, all the letters, all the numbers, and we sit down. And then we introduce ourselves and we say, hi, I'm Lauren and this is Celina, and what's your name? The planchette spells out, we'll just call her Yuko because that's a typical Japanese name. I actually know a Yuko, this isn't her. And it spells out Yuko, but it doesn't spell out Yuko how you'd normally spell out Yuko. Some of the letters are misspelled. Right away we could tell that the planchette movement was very kind of like weak and slow. And we look at each other because Yuko was Celina's grandmother's name. We ask, hey, where were you born? And Celina knew the answer to this, and let's say it was Tokyo, and that was correct. And then we'll ask, where did you die? And we'll say Nagasaki, and that was also correct. And Celina asked, how old were you when you died? We'll say 89. Also correct. Then Celina asked a question that she didn't know the answer to, and she wrote this down. She asked, when was your birthday? Again, in kind of like broken spelling. Let's say she wrote it December 9th. She wrote this down because she didn't know the answer to it, and she's gonna check with her mom later. As we're playing, we notice the spirit isn't trying to do anything weird with us. It isn't trying to freak us out. It's just very, very calm, like comforting feeling, you know, like a grandma. Eventually I ask, do you live here? And the spirit said yes. And I asked, have you always lived here? And she said no. And then I asked, where are you in the room right now? And the planchette, this is the only time in the game that the planchette did this with her. It moved in circles around the board. And spirits will do that when they don't want to answer a question, or they can't answer a question. So we kind of looked at each other and I asked, are you beside us? It said no. I asked, are you above us? And it said no. And I just thought to myself, where are you then? If you're not beside us and you're not above us. But I didn't want to ask. The last time Celina saw her grandmother before she died, she was wearing her favorite pajamas. And Celina asked her, like when on the board, what did your favorite pajamas have on them? She spelled out hearts, and that was correct. And I asked, did your favorite pajamas have stars on them? She spelled out no. Celina was looking at me like, but they didn't have stars on them. But I was just trying to make sure for sure. And then we asked, do you look over this house? And she said yes. And we asked, do you look out for your grandchildren? And she said yes. And it was all very sweet. And then as the game went on, we kind of ran out of questions to ask, so we decided to go, and we thanked her for playing with us, and we said goodbye. Later that day, when Celina's mom came home from work, Celina asked her, hey mom, what was grandma's birthday? And it wasn't December 9th like the spirit said, but it was a close family friend or a family member's birthday, but they had a very similar name. And that was the very best Ouija board experience that we ever had, and I'm really glad that that was our first experience. I do genuinely think that we did speak to her grandmother. We've tried contacting her again afterwards, and basically whenever we play the board at Celina's house, and we've never been able to contact her afterwards. And the next story takes place basically a couple of minutes after the first one. We took a little bit of a break from the board, and then we came back to it, and we got on and we introduced ourselves again. We said, hey, like, I'm Lauren, this is Celina, what's your name? Immediately I could tell that the planchette movement was different. It was all jerky and fast and very like sporadic kind of energy. And when you play the Ouija board, you'll notice that different spirits show their personality through planchette movement. We asked its name and he spelled out Max. So I said, hey Max, what's your favorite color? He spells out yellow. Because I'm annoying and I like to ask what spirit's favorite color is. And I ask, where are you from? And he says, Compton. I'm a very pasty girl from a little tourist town in Canada. I don't know where Compton is. I had to Google it afterwards. And I asked, what state is that in? He says California, and from what I remember that checked out. And I asked, where did you die? And he said Jakarta. And I asked, where is that? And he said Illinois. I looked that up afterwards, and turns out that one is, I think, in like Indonesia, not in Illinois. This is where his answers started to get kind of weird, and like he wasn't genuinely trying to like talk to us, like he was trying to mess with us. And I asked him, how old are you? He says 23. And I asked, what year were you born? Cause nosy and I can't do math. And he says 2003. Looking back on it, he was probably just trying to make a joke, because I asked him like, hey, how old are you? And then immediately after being like, what year were you born? And it's like, not like I don't know what year it would have been. I'm bad at math, but it definitely wouldn't have been 2003. So I think that might have just been a like sarcastic joke on his bit. I got kind of mad. He's trying to mess with us. So then I asked more questions. I can't remember what exactly. I do remember that he started to not really answer the questions in full sentences. He would just kind of like spin around the board with the planchette and start going to like random letters and numbers and stuff, and not actually trying to speak with us. I said, hey, are you gonna like smarten up or what? He didn't, so I kicked him off the board. So then I said, hey, you're being annoying. I don't want to play with you anymore. Get off the board. Goodbye. So he said goodbye and he left. Then we got on the board after again. We said, hey, I'm Lauren. This is Celina. Is anyone here? Said yes. The planchette movement was kind of jerky and fast. So then I asked, what's your name? And it spells out Kevin. Hi, Kevin. We're thinking, who else has planchette movements that are very jerky and fast? So then I asked, Kevin, what's your favorite color? And again, he spells out yellow. Kevin, are you really Max? And then the planchette goes to yes. We go, ha ha, very funny, and we kick him off the board. And we call it a day, because that just kind of put us off and we got mad. We put down the game and we went over to this kind of like island that Celina has in her kitchen. And I think we were like eating food and complaining about Max. We were just saying, oh, he was so annoying. He was trying to mess with us. Like, why would he do that? Like, we just want to play the game. He's probably just really bored, honestly, because we were asking boring questions. We're just bitching about him. And there's this cup a couple of feet away from us on the island. And it's like a plastic water cup and has nothing in it. And as we're bitching about Max, the cup falls over and starts rolling back and forth. And we look at each other and we look at the cup and then we just ignore it, and then it stopped. I think that was Max kind of saying, hey, I'm still here, like, rude. That's the only time we've had like an actual event happen after we stopped playing. We thought Max was the most annoying spirit that we'd ever speak to, but turns out he was probably one of the most mild. We should have appreciated him more. I'm sorry, Max. I have another long saga of a story about another spirit that makes Max seems like a goddamn angel. I'll probably tell that at some point. The last story that I have to tell today is just a really short little one. Again, Celina and I, we were at this kind kind of like viewpoint by our house, and it looks over the town. It's basically across the road from a driveway. So we're sitting out there. We're just kind of like having kind of quickish conversations with spirits. We're getting like a surprising amount of traffic though, but I think it's because we're right next to like a literal road. We were like asking like, hey, we were asking the usual questions, but I think I was being a little bit too invasive and they kept leaving. And eventually we get this one spirit and we say, hey, is anyone there? Planchette doesn't move. And we look at each other and we're like, oh shit, why isn't the planchette moving? Then we ask, hey, is anyone here? We pick up the Ouija board and we move across the street. Sorry, I just heard something. And then we move over into our driveway. We sit down again. We get out the Ouija board again and we ask, hey, is anyone here? Planchette doesn't move at all. And this is the first time that the planchette never moved. We're like, oh shit. What's that about? And then I finally clued in, oh hey, he's just trying to mess with us. That was freaky for a little bit. That was weird. Those are some of my Ouija board stories, and if you want to hear some more, maybe subscribe, maybe like. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.